Is this? Does this work?
Yeah, it's just not turned on.
Oh. Am I good?
Yep, should be.
Does this work?
No.
Okay. Good evening. We'll go ahead and get started. Be sensitive to your time for those who showed up on time. We'll go ahead and get started. Can you hear me? Is this working? Yeah? A little louder? So what we're here tonight to talk about is the 4 options for the Government Center. We have been working for this past several years on where we go from here with the Government Center. We've had some issues at the Government Center, and so Council is wanting to try to address those issues. So what we're talking about now is the 4 options of whether we keep it on the existing site or move it to a different site. And so what we're going to do is go through those options with you this evening and then allow you to vote on which option you prefer. I would like to recognize Councilor House is here. He's a citywide councilor. And Councilor Davis is District 2 councilor. Director Rick Jones from our planning department and Director Donna Newman from our engineering department. And also Richard Bishop is here from the mayor's office, and we anticipate the mayor showing up at some time this evening. So to get started, I'm going to have Director Jones come up and kind of walk you through. We're going to have an interactive portion of the presentation that if you have a smartphone, you can use your smartphone. If you don't, we'll have paper copies that you can record your preference. So we'll go ahead and get started with that.
Thank you, Pam. Good evening to everybody. Thank you for coming out on this kind of a nasty day. We do appreciate your time. We're going to try to make good use of it as we go on. You were handed 3 pieces of paper here. The first one, as Pam's already indicated to you, is it shows all the different options we're going to talk about here. And I'll explain that, what we're going to do with that in just a second, a little bit more as well. On the back of that, though, there are voting instructions. And as Pam has said to you, if you've got a cell phone, or better yet, if you have a cell phone, you're going to be able to participate in this interaction tonight about what we're trying to deal with in terms of trying to get some ideas about the Government Center and where you'd like to see us go with that and so forth. I'm going to call your attention to the screen here at the very top up there. If you have a cell phone, if you'll open up your browser on your phone and type in this word up here, this.
That one won't work.
Yeah, that one's going to be tough. Bob, I'll explain something for you only on that. If you go to this website here, Menti, it's MENTI.com, you'll be able to see the presentation on your phone, but more important, you're going to be able to vote as we go along here tonight. So give you just a second to look at that. But if you'll go to your web browser, in the address bar, if you'll type in Menti, MENTI.com, you'll see this. There'll probably be I should have done this earlier. There may be a sign-in page on there where you put your name on here on the phone itself. You can do that, or you can leave it blank. If you leave it blank, you may run the risk of being somebody else tonight. That's all right too. But what it's going to show you when it's all said and done is it'll show you a little emoji on there, a little picture that's going to represent you on the screen tonight. We're not keeping up with your name tonight. This is all pretty much open-ended. It's anonymous from the standpoint. We're not looking to see how you vote on certain things or anything else, but this gives you an idea about where you're going, how you can vote, and what it's going to look like, and how others voted with you on the screen. When you get to the page, also, it's going to ask for this code number, this 779135. If you'll enter that into the system, also it'll allow you to vote, and again, it'll allow you to see on your phone the actual presentation itself. So, and now for Bob and everybody else, if you do not have a cell phone that wants to participate with this, and you just don't want to play with it at all, we call your attention back to this page here with all the options on it. This is the most important thing you're going to see. If you will basically either circle that or check it, which option you like when we get through with the presentation, and then give that back to us, we'll make sure your vote is counted in everything we're trying to participate here with tonight from that. So Anybody have any questions about how the system works here? Again, this is designed to help you be interactive with us and be able to participate in this whole process. Okay? All right, so we're going to go on and try to see what we got. Okay? We got a number down here showing us. You see the little emojis on here. We got 13 of you that are on here. We got 14 now. We may have somebody else come on as well. But it just gives you an idea how many folks here tonight are utilizing their phone from that standpoint. Okay? And it's going to say, get ready here. And then it's going to ask you now to look at your phone. And I'm going to give it back to Pam and let her walk you through the process.
So we're going to just have a couple test questions to see if, to get you used to the interaction. So it's asking, choose your favorite of the foods listed below. So just kind of a sample question for everyone that's using their phones to vote. And I'd also at this time like to recognize Councilor Gary Allen that's here, our city manager Isaiah Hughley, and also Deputy City Manager Lisa Goodwin is here this evening.
Let me say one other thing about this system. Typically, when you see a question, you're going to have about 30 seconds to answer. So it's not rushing you. And particularly on the last question about the options, there's no time limit on there until everybody actually votes on it. In the chance though that you don't make it within that 30 seconds, it's going to lock you out. So we're encouraging you to look at the question, make a response before it actually locks you out of the whole thing. Okay?
So moving on to question 2, just for informational purposes. The Government Center officially opened business in what year? Got about 10 more seconds. So the correct answer is 1970 was when it officially opened for business. So question 3. The cost to build the Government Center back in the early 70s was how much? 11 million, 22 million, or 25 million? So 11 million is the correct answer. Times have changed. So the next So the next question, the Government Center Tower currently houses which departments? Just courtrooms and judicial functions, general government functions, the mayor, the city manager's office, or both judicial and general government functions? So most people know that the Government Center does house both general government and court-related functions. So question 5. The Government Center contains how many departments? 16, 17, or 22 different offices or departments? The correct answer is 22 departments. There are a lot of offices and functions that are housed inside the Government Center on different floors of that building, both general government and judicial. What word would you use to describe the current Government Center?
We're looking for a one word that you would describe the Government Center by. One word. And we do have a profanity filter on here, so don't get crazy.
So we have deplorable, inefficient, rundown, obsolete, old, dinosaur,
Any good words?
contemporary. And these are really the same descriptive words that we saw at yesterday's public meeting as well. Historic. Everybody had a chance? So we're going to look at the current proposal. We had asked our architects that are under annual contract, Heck Bertishaw and 2WR, to submit a proposal on what it would cost for us to look at different options and to provide council with additional detail on those options, to include cost, logistics, location, all of those things they would review and research and provide an estimate back to council on a lot of different components of each of the 4 options. So that budget proposal was just over $1 million. It includes programming from CGL, which would be a judicial consultant to review a needs assessment on space going forward, project management from Aaron and Clements, as well as the design from Heck Bertishaw and 2WR for a total of just over $1 million. So the 4 options we'll walk through. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop and ask questions. Option 1 is a complete demolition of both the wings and the garage. So if you're familiar with the government center, we call the tower, which is the main building. There's 2 wings on either side, and the parking is below the wings, so it's underground parking. So option 1 would provide demolition of the wings and the garage, provide a new judicial center on the existing site, and a complete renovation of the tower for city administration, and also a new parking garage. So this would be option 1 on the existing site. New judicial center, renovated tower. The second option is a complete demolition of all the buildings on this site, which would be the tower, the wings, and the garage, and to provide for new facilities for judicial administration and the parking garage. So this is on the existing site, basically redoing everything on that same site with a new parking garage, new judicial center, and a new administrative building. So that's what we're calling option 2. Option 3 is kind of hybrid. It's a complete demolition of all the facilities on the site, but it would include a new judicial center on the existing site, a new judicial parking garage, but it would provide for a government center for the city administration on a new site and surface parking to go along with that administrative building. So this would include demolition of all the facilities, a new judicial center and parking garage on the existing site, and an admin building on a different site, a new site. And the 4th option is new facilities on a new site, both judicial center and a city administration building, as well as parking facilities for both of those buildings, either on the same site or 2 completely different sites. So it would be abandoning the current site and moving all the functions to new sites. So I want to go kind of back through those again, make sure everybody understands each of the options. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Yes, sir.
Does any of this include moving people from the annex into the new administrative building so everybody's in one place?
That has been discussed. No decision obviously has been made, but we've talked about combining the administrative buildings, both the annex and what's in the government center, together. Yes, ma'am.
The cost of this?
Eh.
Do we have estimates?
And that is what the proposal is for them to provide additional details, square footage, what the facility could look like, and then cost estimates to go with that.
I don't really know how you could make a decision or even choose one of the options if you don't know, have an idea on what the cost would be.
And that's,
Period. I mean, how
Well, I think,
cover the cost.
right, I think the request from council has been what options should they consider? And part of that is what options do the public, do they want it on the existing site? Do they want it on a new site? And that would be part of what the proposal is to really tie down what the cost of each one of the options would be. So what council will decide is, do we want to look at all 4 options, or is there one that just doesn't make sense and they want to take it out of the equation? Yes, sir.
I agree 100% with her. I go out and buy a car, I know about how much I'm gonna spend. We have 4 options here, we have no idea, and we have no rational basis to make a decision.
Yes, sir.
Yes, pulling all that together, definitely, since the taxpayer will pay for this, and I know they need to be involved, obviously cost would be a major consideration, but if we chose one of those, go with what the council recommends, and let's say we decide to move that site and move it, go somewhere, do we have any other potential sites, number one? Number 2 is, then if we do move it, do we have any future plans of putting something there that's gonna be conducive downtown, because all those are historic buildings and site that fits in with that. So, that's a couple of my, questions. I got about 15, but I just asked those 2.
And those are good questions. Those are ones that we have talked about. No decision has been made about where the new site would be. We've had a lot of suggestions from different people about where they think the new site should be or would be a great, and they've also offered things that could be done with the existing site if that was vacated. But that's kind of maybe 3 more steps down in the process. This step is really to just look at the options, provide additional detail to council, which includes cost, space that's required. So those are kind of the next step after this step.
So did we get rid of that mold that was down there, that happened back here 2 or 3 weeks ago when we had the pipe leak and everything down there? Because, we wouldn't want any, city employees down there breathing all that mold, because it will come back when damp, cold areas, water leaking all the time. Is that like a visual thing that continues to be monitored?
We have done air quality testing in the facility after the flooding incident. So we did air quality testing to make sure that there wasn't any hazards in the air for employees at the time of the incident. So that was done. Yes, I think.
And I don't know if I'm missing this or not, but is it not possible to renovate the judicial wings at all? And that doesn't seem to be a part of this. Like, the tower seems to, part of the options are, renovating the tower. But what about the judicial center?
And I guess my comment to that would be, if you have a 5th option that you think is a viable option, we have a section where you can add additional comments, and that would be something that we would ask for additional comments. Yes, sir.
I've got a question. How are we gonna pay for it? Because our budget's already strained. And our council is notorious about getting one sales tax that would build it, but then we have maintenance problems, which we already have now, because of $90 million in the budget to maintain it, to keep it properly operating. So what's to prevent us from being in the same position? I will be here 50 years from now, probably. I'm not planning on going anywhere, but probably will be here. How are we gonna stop that from happening again? Because poor maintenance is one of the problems that we have now, is that because of the tight budget, maintenance have been deferred.
And that will definitely need to be addressed, is the maintenance. Now, the government center maintenance currently is a high-cost item. With a more efficient building, we should see maintenance costs be lower, utility costs lower, because we do spend a significant amount of money on the utilities and the maintenance for the government center. So a new facility would actually probably lower that demand on the maintenance costs. But as far as how we pay for the building, that is also something that council will be discussing, is the options for funding.
And I would just add, if I
Sure,
may.
sure.
I'm Isaiah Hughley. obviously, we fund, and I want to acknowledge the mayor just walked in. Mayor Skip Henderson is here, and Mayor, you may want to answer that question. But I was going to say, obviously, you know, we have been able to fund capital needs through special purpose local option sales taxes. And we've been able to fund, most recently, transportation projects through the transportation special purpose local option sales tax. And so the source that I think we would have to turn to would be a special purpose local option sales tax. Of course, I don't make that decision. Our legislative body, the mayor and council, will make that decision. But the most obvious option for funding would be the special purpose local option sales tax. We do know that the school district's special purpose local option sales tax will expire in June of 2020. That timing would be an option, could be an option. And then we do know that the transportation special purpose local option sales tax expires in 2022. If not 2020, then that could be the time for a special purpose local option sales tax. And either of those dates would keep our total sales tax at 8%. And so those are obvious funding sources. And if those dates or that source was successful, we could do like we've done with previous special purpose local option sales taxes, and that is you do bonds to get a jump start, because obviously you collect over a 10-year period, 8 to 10 years, and the current trend of our sales tax shows that we should get about $35 million a year. Over 10 years, that would be $350 million roughly, if it stays at that amount. So that would be the obvious funding source. And then I heard your other questions or observation that you can't possibly select 1, 2, 3, or 4 without knowing the cost. And cost matters. And so we would like your input tonight. And obviously, when we determine the cost of each option, those will go to the mayor and the council. And they will obviously decide on a number of things, cost being probably first and foremost. And so we do want your input tonight. And so, you know, the cost for new, whether it's on the current site or another site that we currently own, the cost of construction is going to be near the same, new or renovated. And so we would like to hear from you in terms of which option you would prefer, considering you don't know the cost, and if cost was not a factor, which we know it's a factor, and the mayor and council will use that cost to determine which way we go. So we do want your input tonight. Yes, sir.
Do you really think the school board's gonna give up that 1 cent or apply for or put a proposal out there to use it? I don't think they'll ever get 1 cent back, so we can't count money that they would give up.
Well,
Because our school system needs money, so to sell us on the idea that the school system will drop their 1 cent sales tax is false.
Well,
I mean, they're never going, a politician's never met a tax that is not.
let me.
So to tell us that that's gonna happen, that's not gonna happen, you know.
Well,
I mean, you
no.
can't sell us that stuff to tell us.
Let me just say that, you know, when you say give it up, they don't have,
They could revote.
they could ask you to renew, but giving it up is not an option. You know, they have 5 years to collect.
Just like ours that have expired, you were talking about continuing those. The school board, without a doubt, will
Well-
continue that because they're strapped for cash just like the
Well,
city is.
I mean, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, you know. the
Yeah,
truth.
we'll see.
I know you worked hard yesterday, you know they're not gonna give us that penny. Now, let's be truthful about it, put all the cards on the table. The Muskogee County school system is not gonna relinquish that penny.
Well,
So we can't spend something that they're not gonna give up.
well, let me just say this. You know, whether the decision is made to do it in 2020 or 2022, the T-Splosh is the city. It's,
How are we gonna pay for them though? 'Cause I mean,
well, obviously, you either wait until 2020 or 2022, or,
how are we gonna fund the maintenance of the building? Because just like with South Commons right now, we're having to go out and raise money to
you mean maintenance of the new building?
fund the maintenance of the new building.
Well, I think,
Keep it maintained.
I think the
We have
deputy,
Parks and Rec and everything else that needs funding for maintenance, and there's not any money there. So
I-
you get South Commons, which was a jewel of a opportunity, is run down.
well, let me just say, I think the deputy city manager addressed the fact that, you know, we have a 47-year-old building, and we have unexpected cost each and every day. We spend $4 million or so on utility, and certainly a new building would be more energy efficient, and there are efficiency saving opportunities with a new building. And no doubt, in my mind at least, it would cost us less to maintain a new building than it costs us currently to maintain the old building. And so I think initially we will likely see savings in the cost of maintenance, but then down the road, years down the road, that cost it's like a new car. You get a new car, and you know the first few years, several years, your maintenance is not what the maintenance was perhaps on your old vehicle. But as it continues to get older, then you're going to have to allocate more money towards maintenance. I think we'll see a considerable dip in the cost of maintenance of the new buildings or building, and then you'll see a gradual increase, but it's going to take a number of years to get back to what you were spending on that old building as what you're spending on the new building in maintenance. Look, it's going to cost in maintenance, and city officials have to figure it out. You can keep doing what you've been doing and keep getting what you've been getting in the old building, or you can do something different. And we've got a decision to make. The legislative body has a decision, and the citizens who will ultimately fund it got to make a decision. Do you want what we have for your city, that you're going to continue to have court sessions and do business on a day-to-day basis? I mean, you like what you have, we should keep what we have and not go after what we know we need. That's a decision that has to be made. I don't see much of a choice in it. Yes, sir.
It's just like, lady said right there, Mr. Hughley, we don't have enough facts. We see the options,
Yeah.
see them there, but we don't really have enough facts to actually really choose an option up here. We see them, but I think it should be done like in a phase. Okay, we got phase one, we got the options. When we come back, when we got some more information from the people that y'all have hired to look at these options, the cost of it, all the impact on it, the other selected areas that you may have in mind, I think we make an informed decision then, but I really now,
So,
I can't.
well, and that's fine, because what we're trying to do is get your input on the front end before we go and spend money on the options to see what your preference would be. We can go and spend money on the options and then come back and say, we've spent the money on the options, now what's your preference? So is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, pretty much.
Spend the money first, and then ask what you, Bob.
What I think most people are asking is, the old rule in carpentry is measure twice, cut once. Measure once, cut twice. make sure what we're going in, what we're looking at. And that involves some planning and extra time, but we're gonna be much better off planning and spending the extra time so we really know what the options are, instead of, well, that's the option, it sounds good, and turns out it
Well-
wasn't. So,
Well, in this case,
we're already spending money in advance.
yeah, every option is going to cost that we investigate, and so we can certainly do that and then bring back information. Run.
I see us having a first conversation here.
Yes.
You're saying, here's where we are, rather than just reading about it in the paper, we'd like to talk to you about. what
Exactly.
you're thinking about. We would like to know what you think about, this is what we're thinking about, we'd like, the council wants to know how the public would see these options.
That's right.
We probably are going to have, I hope nobody said, a second or a third conversation, once you get
Absolutely.
priority on 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely.
You'll go to these people, who are going to come up with plans, and they're going to put numbers with it, you come back and say, let's talk about now, here's what this is going to cost, this is going to cost.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Is that kind of what you're saying?
That is exactly it, Ron. And see, out of this session, you may say, there is no way we would support moving the judicial center or the administration building from its existing site. Then if that's the case, we need to take that off the board.
You kind of want to know that, yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment about that. The way I feel, and you really need to think about this, I would be choosing for the last option for it, because that is the last tract of land downtown. If you move all of that off, turn that into a park. You've got that skinny median in Broadway where you're putting 1,200 people for these Friday night bands.
Mhm.
And it's packed like sardines.
Yeah.
Columbus is growing. There's gonna be more hotels down there. All these apartments are opening up down there. And they've gotta have some place to do that with the public that wants to come for that entertainment. Make that into a park, have the concerts down there. Let the meetings be back open for people to walk back, other places to park and eat dinner.
So in line with what Ron has said and what you've said, if everybody in this room felt like number 4, then we don't need to be talking about building on the same site.
That's right.
We need to be that needs to come off the board, if that's, yeah. And so this is just a beginning of the conversation, Ron, as you've indicated, and we're coming to you first. Now, we can come to you after we go a few steps down the road, and that's what it sounds like I'm hearing from you. Go a little further first and then come see you when we can tell you more.
Yeah.
Okay? That's fine. If that's,
And then
if
come
that's
back
what,
to us.
yeah. But again, if each of you felt like the young lady here, then we will have spent money on 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna come,
Yeah, we're gonna spend money on 1, 2, 3, finding out whether they're gonna work or not. For example, if we complete the option 1. Option 1 doesn't make any sense to me, because I don't know right now why the wings in the garage have to be destroyed.
okay?
They didn't have a flooding. As far as I know, the wings are fine.
Okay,
All, as what I know, the garage is fine.
okay,
The problem's in the tower.
okay.
So maybe we shouldn't, maybe we should be focusing on the tower. But the complete, I mean, why would you could move the judicial center? Keep the wings in the garage down there.
Well,
Maybe sell off part of the property.
Yeah.
Somebody might want to buy the tower.
yeah. Well, and that's fair. But the 2 wings or the parking structure, you may or may not know, the parking structure lies beneath the 2 wings.
Right.
And you know, the infrastructure supporting the wings comes from, it also support the tower.
Come from the tower?
Yes. That's that $11 million building you paid for back in 1970.
Seems like an odd way of doing it. I would have thought that those would have been.
Well, a lot of things were done, a lot of things in that building were done in an odd way back in 1970.
So because the tower's got a problem,
So, let's see, where, okay. Yes, ma'am.
City manager,
Yes,
I commend city council for this process, because I understand what you're saying 100%. And in my opinion, option 4 is the best option, and you have to choose an option to take the next step. And I think the citizens of Columbus, the majority of them, will understand that. So I do understand this, and I do think this is the best course.
okay, thank you. Ron, you had another,
You talk about underground parking, what's happened from the time we built this to now, it seems like to me, security and safety are issues, and underground parking is one of those things that's not as secure, not as safe, given the fact that the buildings depend on that.
Yeah.
Underground parking for them. So it seems like that's part of what we should consider that.
okay. Others? How many of you would like, understand all that you said about difficulty in making the decision. Can we still get you to vote to just at least know what you're thinking about tonight?
yes.
Can we all agree to that?
Yes.
I see, yes. Okay, Bob.
So
So-
you can either vote on one, so is it structured so you can vote on one of the 4 options or add a 5th option? You don't
Yes,
have to say,
well-
I want this, but here's my other suggestion.
Okay, I got you. You said, here's your other suggestion.
She's gonna
No, I'm
have a
just saying
fifth.
Okay,
it's-
gotcha,
I wasn't
okay.
offering one up.
Okay, right, okay. So,
But is it structured so that you say, here, I'm gonna vote on one of these options, or do you have that opportunity
So-
at the time to add a 5th option or your other option, you don't wanna vote on one?
so I do wish, and I don't believe we did it, when you vote, can they vote on a 5th, or
It asks you to vote for your preference, 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you don't have a preference of 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you want to propose option 5, we'll ask that you write that
Yeah.
on the form, and we'll register those options separately. But all of the information will be reported back to council.
And so we know how many people are voting, and if you don't vote and you turn a form in, then we will consider that option 5,
Yes.
okay? So,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
If, option 4 is not chosen, where are all those apartments gonna operate from while all that work is being done on that site?
If,
And how much is that going to cost, and is that figured in there?
That will be part of the proposal that the architects and CGL will be working on, is the logistics. If we renovate the tower and we have to relocate all of those departments to another location, while the renovation is going on, that's a huge cost to try to find courtroom space and security space. So that is a cost that will be considered from the logistics of renovating the tower. Now, if we build a new facility, obviously the folks can remain in the tower while a new facility is being built, and then they move one time to that new facility. So that is part of the equation as well. Is there more questions? I'm gonna walk back through the options one more time, just to make sure that everyone's clear on the 4 options. And again, we're gonna ask you to state your preference. This is not the last meeting that we'll be having this discussion with the community. We're gonna take the information back to council and then proceed forward with evaluating the 4 options. And then obviously, once we get additional detail, we'll be coming back again to the community for their input and observations.
and I'll say, you're going to hear from us a lot during the course. You're gonna get tired of hearing from us about this, because with an investment as large as what we think this could be, we've got to do it with your involvement. And I don't think our mayor and council would have it any other way. Yes, sir.
What's the approximate, how much money we're dealing with here?
Well, look.
Approximately.
Look,
I know that we
and if you don't
know what
hold,
we're gonna do
if you don't hold us to it, I will say, and, yeah, it could be, 100 million to 150 million.
I think your thinking is, I think that's what the city's thinking is, and I'm not sure the citizens are quite there yet.
I mean, I don't,
I think you're very truthful
when
you say $100 to $150
Yeah.
million.
So I mean, but I have no idea.
Yeah. That's a very fair answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, would you remind the ones who came in late that they can either vote on the phone or do it on the
Sure.
paper itself?
So if you came in after we started tonight, we're actually doing the voting preference online. So you should have been given a form when you came in. And on this form, on the back side, gives you instructions on how to get to the website where you can register your vote. You can also either circle or check the option of your preference and give it to Millicent in the back when you leave. So we make sure that we count for everyone that's here. But you can go on to menti.com and put in the code, and we'll go back through that code again if you want to register your vote on a smartphone. Option 1, again, going through these options, is on the existing site, would be to demolish the wings and the garage and build a new judicial center on the existing site, renovate the tower for city administration, and a new parking garage. Option 2, again, on the same site, on the existing site, demolish all 3 facilities, which is the tower, the wings, and the garage, and there would be a new judicial center, new city administration building, and a new parking garage on the existing site. Option 3 is kind of a hybrid. It would be complete demolition of all the facilities that are on the existing site, provide for a new judicial center on the existing site and a new parking garage, and move the city administration building to a new site with surface parking for the city administration building. And then the 4th option is all new facilities on a new site. So abandoning the existing site and moving all the facilities to a new site. So if there's not any further questions, any more questions? Yes, sir.
On 4, would then the city sell the building or the property?
Well, that's to be determined. I don't make decisions, I just make
I mean,
recommendations.
if we just build a new judicial center, a new city administration building, a new parking garage, then we wouldn't need the old one. And if I move into a new house, I'd probably sell my old house.
Well, no doubt, at least in my mind, if we go to a different site, the existing buildings will be demolished.
Demolished, not sold.
Right.
Wow, that seems odd to me.
I mean, you can't, the building is old, and I think a first effort to sell the building would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think.
But I think, I don't know, I'm not a realtor, and, but I think someone who would be interested or would want a clean site.
Someone might be very creative.
And it may be that,
Location.
could be. But all the options are on the table. So I really can't, it's early, can't say.
Any other questions?
So if you're going to vote using your phone, and obviously some people will not, I'm still interested in hearing, I heard you tell why 4 is would be your option. Bob, others, I'd love to hear, we would love to hear why number 1, 2, 3, or 4 would be your option. we'd like to hear more. Why would you want number 3 or 2?
How much is it gonna cost to demolish the facility? Because we haven't heard back,
Well, that is, one option would be to demolish. I would hope that we could sell it. Well, I don't know if the city wants to keep it. All those things gotta be decided. And so, I don't know what it would cost to demolish it at this point.
What would the impact on our trash dump be with a lot of, if that buildings were
We're talking all of the Taylor County, I think, too.
I'm excited about watching it implode. I'm looking forward to that.
It's already imploded, you just didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to the next screen and have you vote, and then we do want to hear your comments. So at the top, you can see menti.com and the number if you came in late and want to sign on. But this is where we're asking people to register which option is their preference.
I got one question before I vote.
Sure.
Now, I know we got, with the new existing, center down there, we have 12 stories. I see on one of those options, we got, maybe fuel. I'm guessing that we will put that option up there, probably see where we can maybe go to maybe 8 stories, or 10 possibly. So,
And I think some of our preliminary discussions have been that obviously there'd be less floors. It would lower the profile of the building. Maybe 4 or 5 floors and a larger base.
And even when we present projected costs now, something to this, on this level will take years. It could be 4 years, 5 years, after you've determined you've got funding. I mean, there's a lot that goes into something of this magnitude. So inflation is, when you ask how much to demo it and how much it's gonna cost, that's factored in. This is gonna take there's a process. So, okay, we've got 11 people so there are no option 2s that no one's interested in option 2 at this point.
go back to previous meeting yesterday, we have an option 2.
I can't tell you.
Mr. Hugo,
Yes, sir.
at this time, you really don't have any idea of how much it's gonna cost,
Well,
any option?
well, what I said that you can't hold me to.
Right. I mean,
It's just
you-
some numbers that we-
real estimates?
Yeah, and I just said, I don't know, but 100 to 150 million, and please don't, don't hold me to that, because I don't have anything to support that.
I'll just blame on this one.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
How many square feet of, I'm gonna say office space, will you need to, if you were gonna relocate the administrative offices in the tower? How many square feet would you need to, are we looking at of space?
I can tell you what we have in the government center and towers now exceeds 300,000 square feet.
Then what do we have in the, city services center?
60,000 square feet.
What do we have in the annex?
So if we went up 2 floors.
Roughly about 60,000 square feet.
Which is what?
And the annex on 10th across from CB&T,
Built.
yes. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I was kind of thinking, if we went up and we added, a couple of floors to the citizen service center and relocated a part of it, I don't know if that would even be a possibility. And Councilor Allen, when it was built, I remember him suggesting we go ahead and think about adding floors at that time, and we didn't do that, so. She said no.
I actually recommended that.
Okay, well, Well, I remember him saying it, so, anyway.
I
think
hope you'll
was a
keep
good
that
suggestion.
annex.
Keep that annex in mind in everything you do.
Yeah, I actually recommended that.
Because keep the annex in mind, because that's 60,000 square feet that you need to have an administrative building. It's not efficient to be in two different locations or three
Yeah.
different locations, so.
And I think our elected officials have made that point to us.
So I don't know if we own that, or if we leave, do we own or or
We
lease
own
it.
We own it,
Well-
so that's other property that we do something with.
Yeah.
Commercial property.
Okay, are you done with the vote?
I think that's everyone that's registered that wanted to register.
And I can tell you, I will tell you, I think last night, the majority wanted option 4.
I knew it.
You knew that. You just checking, see if I was gonna be honest. Yeah, but they wanted option 4. And then, last night, the other were split between, was it 1 and 3?
2 and 3, I
2 and
believe.
3?
I don't think we had anyone
Three.
with, we had one person with option 1 last
Yeah,
night.
so, you know, we're getting a feel for at least what people are thinking, those who are participating. So I heard from, I don't have your name, Marcia, about option 4. There's some other option 4s. Why option 4? If you voted, John, you want?
Yes, sir, I'll say why I chose number 4. Number one, main reason is the buildings that we have now are in really bad shape. They're not, in my opinion, fixable. The opportunity to stay in the existing structure for the next 3 or 4 years until whatever is done can be done, whether it's 3 years or 5 years, is probably gonna save us, I'm estimating $5 million, because to relocate it, to rent space, and to build it out the way it would have to be, particularly for courtrooms, it's probably, that may be even on the low side. Whereas is now, we stay in that and use the facilities we have. Ideally, if we move from there, the property that's there, I'm estimating is worth $8 to $10 million, and that the annex property is probably about $2 million. If we sold those 2 properties, and you might say, well, wait a minute, we want to put a park there. Well, that's a possibility. What about if we built a 500-room hotel there that would support our trade center and be an investment in that? Right now, we do not have enough high-quality hotel rooms downtown to support that facility and to do the largest, events there. That's an investment if you look at it that way, in not only the downtown but the trade center. It would give us that. There are 2 new hotels that are under construction or will be sitting on Broadway, but they're basically boutique hotels. They're about 80 to 100 rooms. We still will not have enough of that and what's at the Marriott to cover that. So that's a consideration that I think needs to be looked at. Another thing is, even though that's where we may think of the judicial center really needs to be adjacent to the jail and needs to be connected via a sally port, which is basically a tunnel that's enclosed where you can move prisoners back and forth without having to put them in vans, and have a driver, a vehicle, and 2 guards to take 4 prisoners over there to the courthouse. And then right now, you're bringing them up into a courthouse that also houses your administration. About 10 years ago in Atlanta, they had a breakout. You may remember the shooting in the Fulton County Courthouse. 3 people were killed in that shooting. They've had to change the way they do business since that time. And fortunately, we haven't had quite that problem here, but it could happen. It's not safe.
And it would be very handy if the sheriff's department was in that building as well.
That is correct. The judicial building would not, in my view, would house the courtrooms and the judges and their chambers, but it would also include the sheriff's office and the marshal's office to provide the court security.
Well,
And it's got different security needs than the regular.
Absolutely.
and John,
And then you don't have the same security needs on your administration building when you build it, because it's a different type of facility with different types of people going in. I think also by doing that, it probably would place that right on somewhere along 9th Street on the cusp of the Liberty District, and it would also be an investment to jumpstart that and get that going and moving, and And we'd really like to see that develop.
And it's vacant land.
Yes, sir, it's vacant land and the city owns some of that land over there.
Well-
100%.
And likewise, we can find cheaper space or land to put the administrative building on, whether it's over there somewhere or out in the Midtown area, wherever. It would be cheaper than where it is downtown. It's on primo property.
Who thinks what John said makes sense?
And we have lost a lot of downtown, real estate taxes because when nonprofits like Columbus State and others have gone in there and churches are buying up that property, it's taking high value property off the tax roll. So we need to put some on
Put some back
there.
on.
If you take a $10 million property and put a $100 million hotel on it, you just added $110 million to the tax base of commercial property. And that's not under a tax freeze, so that ratchets up over time.
Well, John, excellent comments. And you know, I had a chance to visit the courthouse in Phoenix City, and they have modernized, you know, they reinvested in their courthouse city on the field. And that's how they drive their prisoners, drive them right up inside the building. And it was just amazing to see how they were able to get ingress, egress of prisoners into the courtrooms in Russell County.
Last
Right
year,
across the street.
several of us visited two of the large governments in the Atlanta area. We went to DeKalb County and Fulton County. We went to look at the software for the courtware system, but while we were there, we looked at the facilities and we saw how they're moving.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more efficient than what we're doing.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just
And
neat
keep
to
in
see
mind,
the
even
van
though
drive
prisoners are
into the
located,
building.
we have prisoners out at the, on
Yeah.
Chautauqua Road. Those people have already been convicted. They're serving their times. They're prisoners. The people in the jail are inmates. They're awaiting trial. So they're not yet, they're the ones that have to go to the courthouse, not the prison.
And the sheriff's lieutenant.
That's correct. We'll actually save on manpower and cost of moving.
Yes, sir.
No,
Something else.
Don't interrupt.
Yes.
We've all heard about the water problem, and it's on Lake, yeah, that's the problem. Didn't I hear something a couple of years ago about, God forbid, a fire, safety issue as far as the stairwells? Is that, did I hear something like that, or not?
Yes, and council approved a bond issue along with the South Commons funding to address the fire safety issues in that building in the interim time, which would be to do the pressurization of the stairwells, and also update the fire alarm system in the building. And then the third item that we're also looking at is providing a sprinkler system throughout the building. So that is to address in the interim, because it is gonna be probably 3 to 5 year process before a new facility could be available. So need to address those fire safety needs now.
So I've asked the mayor to make some comments, if you will. Our new mayor, the 70th mayor of Columbus, Georgia, BH Skip Henderson.
Thank you. No, I really just wanted to say thank you to y'all for showing up. And I'm so sorry for leaving a little early. I will have at least 2 new scars. This is my 36th wedding anniversary, and my wife's been sitting at the restaurant for 30 minutes, so that's where I'm headed. But I do want to commend y'all for participating in this process, and to reiterate that this was never really designed to try to give you hard, fast numbers. This is really the first step in what's going to be a very, very carefully vetted out process. Our objective, and the way I look at my job in the mayor's office, is to make sure we have credible, complete information, including a very narrow price range for each option to present to council. The only way we're going to, something has to be done. And the longer we wait, the more the meter runs and the more money it's going to cost the citizens. We just finished almost a $6 million fix for the last pipe burst. And the longer we wait, the greater the likelihood that we're going to have to deal with some of that again. So we're going to continue to work by gathering y'all's information. I have my opinion on what, if you take money and everything out of the equation, I know what I'd like to see. But the money part is going to be a piece of my opinion as well. So as we move into those next steps, we will narrowly define what that cost is expected to be. Nobody on council takes this lightly. They are going to be very, very serious about making sure they have all the information they need to gather your input so that they can do what's right for the citizens of this community. So, but again, your part in this is critical, and I thank you for engaging in it, and we really, really appreciate y'all's help. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
So back to, why number 4, why number 3, why number 1? It'd be great to hear your thoughts, or at least why. Anyone else? Yes.
If you pick number 4, does the city have any sites in mind?
No. No, but I think you heard Mr. Redmond talk about a judicial center next to the jail, and we do own property, a lot of property in the Liberty District. So that would be an obvious site for a jail of our size. Our jail sleeps 1,069, and of course we have more than 1,069 in jail at this time, but no, in terms of administration building, it could be that a decision is made to put it next to the City Services Center on Macon Road. It could be somewhere else, I don't know. No decision has been made. We haven't even talked about sites, so we don't know.
I think the gentleman in the back had a comment.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman presented a very strong argument, but I'd still like to see it stay downtown. I just think as far as the government center, it should be in the city center. And as far as renovations, you don't know the numbers, and that won't be for a while, like the mayor just said. So, but instead of having separate facilities around town, I think in another hotel or park or whatever we might put there, the money sounds great if we could sell it for millions and millions of dollars, but I just think that the government center should remain downtown.
So
And I chose number 1.
Okay, chose number 1. Great, gotcha. Others? Yes.
I've kind of got a different viewpoint on the location. I think we've got too much of the government located downtown. And that's not where the people are. And I think we need to, the center of the city is where you put the service center. I think there are a lot of options on city-owned land all around that'll be a better place. I don't honestly like to go downtown, but I love the fact that Total Systems is down there, and I love the fact that the college is down there, and there's gonna be more college down there. I grew up in LA. I hate traffic. And Lord knows that in the last 15 years, I don't know, that traffic has grown. And it's gotten worse. And like a teenager.
Yes.
So anything we can do to deal with traffic, I'm very pleased with.
Yeah.
So I don't like downtown. I gotta go downtown.
Okay. Well, I can tell you there will be, we're gonna have a lot of public meetings. And so we hope that you will continue to come out, email us, Facebook, text, whatever you do, and let us know what you're thinking. Because, it's one of the, it's kind of like buying a home. It's one of the largest investments that you make. And certainly this will be, if we go forward with it, the largest investment, single investment that we will make in the history of Columbus, Georgia, Muskogee County. And so it has to be done right. It has to be done in a transparent way. It has to be done with citizen input that our legislative body, the city council, can feel good about any decision that they make, because they will know that it's all-inclusive. And so we need you in this process. We need you. We've got City Councilor John House here. We've got, who's citywide. We've got City Councilor Glenn Davis. We've got City Councilor Gary Allen. This is Councilor Allen. This is your district?
Yes.
This is Councilor Allen's district. And so, Councilor Allen, would you have a word to your constituents?
Well, yeah. Just real quick, I know everybody's ready to go, but this is the political process. This is how we solve things. And, us coming together and sitting there and talking about, like city manager said and the mayor said, this is the first of many meetings we're gonna have to talk about this. The one thing I would add is that, and I don't think anybody has said it yet, but the employees that are in the governance center are really under some dire situation if some of the pipes were to burst. So that's another consideration to move them out and try to make a quick decision, not a wrong decision, but a decision for their safety, and that's what we're dealing with here. So we appreciate you being here and appreciate you coming out and your discussion, the points. We've got to have more engagement with the citizens on this to get a direction on which way we need to go. And I appreciate you all turning out and talking tonight, even the media, so. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, sir. Councilor House, you're citywide. Anything
I'm just glad people came, because we do need your input, and as we said, it's the biggest decision we're probably gonna make monetarily anytime soon. I mean, so, and we don't need to do it in a vacuum. So if you've got a particular opinion, one way or the other, we need to know what that is, because that will help inform us, as we move ahead in this process. And I'm sure, as they said, we're gonna see it more than once as we try to get through this process.
Councilor Davis, did you want to make any comments? We're here for as long as you want us to be, and so the floor is still open. But we don't want to keep you longer than necessary. This is not the last meeting, and certainly I'd like to thank you for coming. So we'll be here for a few minutes if you want to make additional comments. Thank you for coming.